Hi everybody, welcome back to KC3D Sparks. Today we're going to be continuing our study area over here. I wanted to go ahead and create the desk that will actually work with these two chairs. So last week we made these. I went ahead and duplicated it so that way we have two, and we're going to make a type of conjoined desk to fill this area here. So we'll go ahead, I'm going to hop to an empty layer and I'm going to do Shift A, Mesh, and we're going to start with a cube. Now for this, I'm going to go ahead and start with the dimensions of X being at 1 inch. Y, I'm going to have at 2 inches. And for the Z, I'm just going to put at 1 inch as well. These are very rough estimates of what I'm going for. We'll be resizing this a lot, but just to get our cube in a general size of what the result will be, this is what we'll start with. So don't forget, I do have the units set to inches and the scale of my grid floor set to 1/4 of an inch. I already copied over an armchair from the first layer. So if you want to go ahead and duplicate that and pull it over, just do Shift D, and that way we can use this as our sizing as well. So if we just go into front view, hit period to focus in on it, and I'm just going to pull this up so that way it's kind of sitting on top of our x-axis here. And now we can just use our chair as our actual sizing for how tall we want our leg height and all of that fun stuff to be. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and tab into edit mode, and the first thing I want to do is hit Control R and add in a vertical loop this way. I'm just going to hit A to deselect that, Z for wireframe view, B for border select, and grab all the vertices on this side, do X and delete those vertices. And on our modifier tab, I'm going to go ahead and add a mirror modifier and apply clipping. Just rename that real quick. And we can start going to work on this. So the way I kind of have this envisioned in my mind is kind of that easel style desk, so that we are working more upright, you're not hunched over, and then it'll have a little ledge for where things can get caught, and there will be some shelving underneath, and we'll also be mimicking the top with the pews that or benches that we created in the like sacrificial room or whatever you want to call it. All right. So to get started, we're going to set up some loops. So I'm just going to go into top view, and I think 2 inches is too wide. I'm just going to go ahead and select everything and size that down to probably about here instead, so that if you want to do 1.5 inches instead, I think that will be much nicer looking. All right, so I'm going to do Control R, scroll it up once so I get 2 loops. Then I'm just going to do S and Y and pull them out to about here. So it's about 1/4 of our grid square. Maybe not quite, a little less than that. And I'm going to do front view, Control R. And actually, yep, we can just let that sit right in the center here, right on that grid line. I'm just going to do Control R again, pull that up. Right about there. Perfect. Now next, I want to go ahead and hit Z for wireframe view so that I can make sure I grab both these vertices. And we're just going to pull this back to maybe about here. And then I also want to move this back so that way we have a little bit of room here. Like I said, I want to make that little ledge. So we're just going to do E to extrude and pull that out. And if you wanted, you could even add another loop here. E to extrude and pull that up so there's a lip, so that way if you have a book or something resting here, it's not just going to slide off. It has that lip to catch it. Now for the top, I think I'd like this actually a little bit wider so we can actually use this as a ledge if you want to put candles or extra books or anything like that on there. So I'm actually going to pull that out slightly, maybe more about there. And then I want this, like I said, I wanted to have it imitate the look of the benches, that Gothic look, which if you haven't seen them, go ahead and take a look at those real quick. So we have these triangular shapes that are kind of like Gothic inspired. So we want to kind of put those at the top, and I might even do a center one as well. So if we tab back into edit mode, we can all do Control R, scroll up, S and Y so we get our center one. And I'm going to make this a little bit thinner than the ones on the ends, so that way this one doesn't look as grand, I guess. And then you'll want to switch to face select mode. Grab these faces. I'm just going to go into front view, hit E to extrude, pull them up. I'm just going to go ahead and deselect our center one and pull these up to maybe about there. Switch back to vertex select mode, and we're going to push these down. There we go. So that way we have our top set up. And then this could even be help for, you know, if you have a row of books and then you have items over here, it almost works as a bookend that way. Trying to be practical with our decorations. All right. Now, main problem right now is we don't have anywhere to put our legs. So first off, what we're going to do is add another loop. So we're going to do Control R, pull this up. And it's looking like it's going to be a little low because if you look at our seat cushion, it's kind of like we would just be still not having any leg room. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up so our shelves are going to be on top of, actually, we'll do right about here. That should work. Do another loop for the bottom of our shelves. So now I'm going to switch to face select mode again and select these 4 faces. Oh, 5, sorry. Do X and delete faces. So that way that will get cut out. Oh, and you don't want to forget the bottom ones as well. X and delete faces. Awesome. So now what we want to do, I'm going to switch to edge select mode. And I'm going to select the ones that make the outline of our shelves and also the table legs, except for the side ones. So we're just going to do E to extrude. I'm going to go into top view and we'll just pull that straight back so it merges in the center. You don't have to worry about any extra vertices or anything. You could of course create an extra loop on the inside if you wanted to face these off so that way there's no hole or anything in the center, but I'm just going to leave it open so that way we just save a little bit of plastic and nothing's really lost there. All right, so now all we have to do is I'm going to select these faces and hit F to create a face, or edges, sorry. Select these 3 edges as well and hit F for face. So that'll block those out. And we've already fixed the ones up here from the extrusion, so that is all ready to go. Now, of course, if you wanted, we could make these a little bit thicker on the bottom, so that way we can recess some sort of decoration. Or if you want, we could extrude out a little bit of a shelf, so that way if people are dropping work off for them to do or something like that, we could make a little section like that. So if we do Control R and just leave that in the center there, I'm just going to grab this face, do E to extrude, pull that out so it has a nice amount of room there. I'm going to grab this face, E to extrude, size that in, pull it out along the X, E to extrude, and push that down. So right about there. So we have a nice shelf for people to put things in, and of course we could do one on the other side as well. So do E to extrude, and you can make this one smaller if you wanted, if this one was just for like scrolls or something like that. I'm going to make it a little larger again, size that in, E to extrude, and pull that down. So what I want to go ahead and do is just tab out of edit mode. I really like the initial shape of this. I think this is coming along nicely, but I want to add in, like I said, some other details. But before we do that, I'm just going to go ahead and Shift D so we can duplicate this. So that way we have our base and we can add in decorations to this version without worrying about anything. So what I'm going to do is apply our mirror modifier first. And oh, actually, before we do that, I forgot to add in the bevels to our edges here because we do have them a little bit rounded on the pews or the benches. So I'm just going to go ahead and select these edges, hit Control B, and bevel them out a little bit, just like that. So as you scroll up, it'll add more edge loops and make it nice and pretty for you. Okay, and the reason I did it before the mirror is so that way it adds it on the other side as well. Okay, anyway, go ahead and apply that, and we'll tab back into edit mode. So one of the things I thought would be cool is kind of like a larger candle here. So if we do Control R, I'm gonna size that up. I'm gonna go into top view, and we can start to manipulate what is already here. So I'm gonna switch to vertex select mode, and I'm going to grab these four. I'm gonna size them down along the y-axis first. And actually, I'm gonna go ahead and add another one in the center here. That out to make it more circular, but what we'll do is make it like that. Perfect. So now we can just grab this whole thing, do E to extrude. We're just gonna pull that up a little bit, size it out, pull that up, E to extrude. We're gonna size that in, push it down a little bit, E to extrude, and pull that up. It's a really tall candle, maybe a little bit shorter. E to extrude, size that in. Now the wick, if we did that and then a flame, the wick's going to be too small to print and it's just not going to come out pretty. So we're just going to make it so the base of the flame is essentially touching the candle. So we're going to have it a little large so that way it's actually visible. And then we'll do E to extrude, pull this out. I'm going to go ahead and just make another extrusion, size that in, pull our center one up, maybe push it over or something to give it an angle. I'm going to do Control R, size this one out. Something like that. And of course you could grab things, rotate them, anything like that. I might make our face a little bit smaller. Something like that, so we have a nice light on top of our desk. You know, something quick and easy. If you wanted, you could of course go in and add a subdivision surface modifier if you wanted to make it nice and smooth. I don't know if it's necessary though. I think having the low poly is going to be fine. But of course you feel free to go ahead and do that, and then you can sharpen all the edges. But other than that, let's go ahead and move this to our first layer, and I guess we'll have an extra chair. I'm going to go ahead and just move this to our first layer as well. Scooch this over into our work area and make sure it actually fits with what we were thinking. So the chair, I'm just going to push to the back like an extra one, and the desk, rotate it 90 degrees, push that up. Just like that. And actually, we could probably do it where we have two. Just like that to fill up our work area. And if you wanted the candles on the opposite side, we'll go ahead and rotate this on the Z. So that way we have them on each side. And put another chair there. Perfect. So you guys can add books and other things like that if you wanted an open book, just like what we had on here. Pull that over, and then you can just boolean that to our desk as well. Let's go ahead and see what it looks like on the desk. So you can just boolean that and have fun. Very cool. So if you guys have any questions, make sure to just go ahead and post those in the comments below. If you have any requests, again, post those in the comments. If you want really fast responses, the best way to reach me is on the Discord, which is linked below. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe so that way I know you guys are enjoying these videos and I can continue with the series. And I will see you guys next week.